Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Flights to Asia could be taking off from Tasmania as soon as next year, under a suite of plans revealed today. The government finally releasing key timeframes for the $1.6 billion Hobart City deal. But it comes amid growing concern over the project's rollout.
Finally unveiling the next phase of the long-promised Hobart City deal.
This $1.6 billion arrangement between all 3 levels of government is a comprehensive team effort to help the city of Greater Hobart, the cities that make up Hobart.
Releasing the implementation plan the first 3 years of the project.
What the deal and this implementation provides is a sense of focus on where we're going to put our effort, where we're going to work together.
Revealing the wait could be over for both freight and passenger international flights to take off from Hobart Airport. Now looking further abroad to Asia.
By the end of next year, we'll have the capacity for international flights to be taking off from Hobart itself. Now, that will be a boon for tourism right across the state.
Also firming up controversial plans to replace the Bridgewater Bridge.
We made a commitment to this. We've got $461 million on the table to get it built, and we're going to deliver on that commitment. It's outlined in this document here, and we absolutely will deliver.
And locking in a move for an Antarctic precinct. But after a long wait for information, concerns remain over just when Tasmanians will see change on the ground.
There are a lot of uncertainties around whether or not this government will actually get these projects out the door, given the fact that the Bridgewater Bridge has been sitting there for a number of years and has never been delivered.
The government promising to complete the rollout by 2029. Ebony ABBLITT, 7 Tasmania News.
The report card is in for Launceston's CBD shopping, and the city needs a revamp. A number of recommendations have been made to fix barriers stopping people from shopping locally.
As the saying goes, shop till you drop, but it seems Launceston has let its shopping drop. A new report into the CBD's retail space shows the city needs a major improvement. Marketing the area as a shopping experience that can't be found at other locations, a key recommendation. But the City of Launceston says it will take time for these proposals to happen.
We certainly will be adopting some of those over the period of time, and that's going to be rolled out into the next year or so. We really want to continue to now work together to come up with plans and say what are the most important, that we do those first, because one of those is going to be what we do in the mall. The
Brisbane Street Mall, a prime site for improvement, with locals unhappy with the mall's current options.
If there could be more, probably more stuff like Tasmanian made products, more local shops, definitely not shops from interstate.
Doesn't seem to be a great deal here in the actual mall.
The report makes a number of recommendations to improve the Brisbane Street Mall, including an all-weather canopy, more seating available and more dining options. The report acknowledges that trading conditions are challenging for Launceston's retail sector. The movement to online shopping poses a major risk to bricks and mortar stores, with more than 73% of Aussie households shopping online over the last year. Tasmania recording the highest increase in online shopping growth, but there is still hope for shop fronts.
I would rather shop in town than online, but you can get more in online than you can in town. But I would go and see if I can get it in town before purchasing online.
A welcome message with the retail industry the second largest employer in Tasmania. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Closing statements have wrapped up in a trial into the death of Risdon Vale tattoo artist Dwayne "Doc" Davies. In court, a defence lawyer today argued there was no motive for Bradley Scott Purkis and Margaret Ann Otto to commit murder.
A Hobart jury today hearing the last of closing submissions in a trial into the death of Dwayne "Doc" Davies. His wife Margaret Ann Otto and best friend Bradley Scott Purkis, both accused of his 2017 murder, pleading not guilty. After hearing from prosecution and Ms Otto's lawyer yesterday, Mr Purkis's defence lawyer beginning today by saying this is an entirely circumstantial case, arguing the circumstances do not come close to proving Mr Purkis's guilt. The defence then turning pointing to motive. Prosecution previously argued Mr Purkis shot Mr Davies in the head at Elderslie, partly to save Miss Otto from an alleged unhappy marriage, alleging this came after a brief affair between the two in 2016. But defence today dismissed this, saying the prosecution need a relationship between the two, arguing there's no evidence of a strong friendship and there's nothing suggestive of murder. Telling the court the relationship and financial motives put forward by prosecution do not fit, then saying there was a lack of DNA evidence on Mr Purkis's clothing and not enough forensic evidence that Mr Davies was shot in Mr Purkis's cannabis grow shed. Chief Justice Alan Blow then began his summary of evidence this afternoon, saying there's lots of evidence to examine and the jury should carefully look at all the pieces. This is expected to continue on to tomorrow, with the jury then left to deliberate a verdict. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania police say a man has been left with non-life-threatening knife wounds following an alleged altercation at Glenorchy late last night, saying the alleged incident occurred between a number of males who are all known to each other, also seizing a quantity of drugs and firearms. Police are reassuring us there is no risk to the community, but urging anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. Meanwhile, Tasmanians looking to sell their home could have a larger pool of buyers thanks to the RBA's rate cut this week. The lower cash providing a helping hand to first home buyers.
Capacity-wise, first home buyers will be able to borrow slightly more, which will be fantastic, and obviously having rates dropping, that will advertise the market here in Tassie.
Economists are pricing in at least one more rate cut before the end of the year. State Labor has come out against the site of the proposed new prison in Westbury. The opposition says too little has been done to consult the community.
But I think the government may have made the wrong decision when it comes to identifying Westbury, because it's a sleepy, quiet, peaceful town.
Whinging isn't a platform, complaining isn't a policy, and that's all that we're seeing out of Labor at the moment.
The government insists it will listen to the concerns of those in the area. Stories of sadness and struggle have been heard at today's Aged Care Royal Commission visit in Launceston. Several hundred gathered at the forum, allowing the public to have their say.
It's not a Royal Commission into misconduct, it's a Royal Commission into the policy around aged care and how that might be improved in the future.
I do hope it will deliver change. It's taking a very holistic approach across a very diverse number of issues.
A formal hearing will be held in Hobart next month. It's the one night of the year most of us agonise over, but if you can't be bothered making plans for New Year's Eve, luckily someone else has.
A quick taste of what's to come. This year's Taste of Tasmania won't be small. 70 stalls to fill your plate or glass and 65 acts across 4 stages.
And it's a really diverse cross-section of artists, so every kind of genre is represented. We've got DJs, we've got street performers as well.
JEROME and Ottaway are among the bands joining the all-Tassie lineup, although they do seem slightly confused.
Floating stage, is that right, Hubs? Is that a thing? Actually, no.
Oh. With the huge selection of food available, it's also a good night to give 2-minute noodles a miss.
I mean, noodles are pretty good, but we are talking this year, the food story and the beverage story at the Taste is awesome.
Even if Jay and Kelly seem to have lost their appetite.
You're looking forward to the floating stage?
I was really looking forward. There's nothing to look forward to now.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The Smithton Football Club has announced it will be shutting down forever after failing to secure enough players for season 2020. The club had gone into recess at the start of this year, marking the first time Smithton had withdrawn from the competition in its 100-year history. The club decided to cease operating at a special meeting last night following a further decline in its playing pool. Smithton won 20 premierships in its lifetime, the last in 1991. New survey results have revealed Tasmanian motorists are feeling more confident about the state of our roads. The 5,500 RACT members surveyed said traffic congestion and roadworks are their key concerns while driving. But for the first time in years, the Midland Highway was not rated as Tasmania's worst road after undergoing significant upgrades.
What our members have told us is that they would rate the roads a 6 out of 10 overall across Tasmania, but there's still work to be done to improve the safety and the amenity of those roads.
The Tasman Highway claimed the unwanted title of the state's most unpopular road. An old pistol belonging to one of Tasmania's baddest bushrangers is among a treasure chest of convict items up for auction this weekend. It will be the first time many of the antiques have been seen by the public.
You wouldn't want to be looking down this barrel in 19th century Tasmania. It belonged to notorious bushranger Martin Cash, but we don't know if it was ever fired.
Martin Cash was one of those lucky bushrangers who actually passed away of old age. He wasn't hung or shot, but whether he actually used this pistol, we don't know.
Cash died in 1877. His pistol, estimated to be worth at least $5,000, has been kept safe ever since.
It's basically been put in a box and left in a box since it was collected.
There's also this extremely rare percussion pistol, which was found in the wall of the old Launceston jail, which shut down more than a century ago.
Very interesting little pistol. It's marked 1825 and it has the broad arrow mark on it as well.
The collection includes paintings and even convict hats, something auctioneer Neil O'Brien has never come across before. But it's the pistols which are expected to fetch the most attention.
With antique pistols such as this, you don't require a licence. We just need a record of who the pistol's been passed on to.
The collection goes under the hammer at Armitage Auctions this Saturday at 10 a.m. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Back home, and two of Tasmania's most promising young footballers are still buzzing after playing in front of tens of thousands of fans at the MCG on AFL Grand Final day. And after solid seasons in the NAB League, the pair are on track to make their own AFL dreams a reality.
The crowd may not have been quite this big for Sam Collins and Jackson Callow's All-Stars Futures game, the precursor to last Saturday's AFL Grand Final at the MCG. But for them, their match was just as significant.
So just before I was about to walk on there, I was just soaking it all in. The atmosphere was pretty big.
I've never experienced something like it, and it was always a dream to play on the MCG. So to have that opportunity at 17, it's just a dream come true for me.
The two young guns earning their MCG experience after producing several standout performances for the Tasmanian Devils in this year's NAB League, relishing the opportunity to test themselves against the future stars of the AFL.
We love playing for Tassie every week, and we always go out there and play our hardest, but it was a great learning curve, you know, also being a year younger than everyone else.
And with the 17-year-olds eligible for the 2021 draft, the pair are hoping next year brings more opportunities to shine in front of AFL talent scouts as they look to follow in the footsteps of their fellow Tasmanians who are now shining on the biggest stage of all.
Try and go a bit further than what we did this year, and also try and get into the Allies next year to go into the national champs. That's my goal.
Knowing that they were in my shoes around this time and the pressure they were under, and it's no different to what I'm facing at the moment, and that's just a bit of a driving factor. But the fact that they got through it, I know I can.
It's set to be the biggest season yet in the Cricket Tasmania Premier League, with the Greater Northern Raiders and Brighton set to field teams in the women's competition for the first time ever. The men's first grade season, which will consist of 7 one-dayers, 7 T20s and 7 two-day rounds, begins this Saturday, with the first of the women's matches set to begin on October 20. The country's best young netballers have converged on the state for the annual Combined Netball Association Championships, with Hobart playing host this time around. 37 teams from under 13 to open ladies and mixed are set to compete over 5 days, with more than 600 people involved. The Tasmanian girls opening their account this morning with a win over the South Australians. And 2 Tasmanians are among 9 nominees for this year's Don Awards, which recognise an Australian athlete who has inspired the nation over the past 12 months. Australian cricket captain Tim Paine is in the running for defending the Ashes on English soil after being elevated to the top job following the sandpaper scandal, while Ariane Titmus has been nominated after her stunning upset over Katie Ledecky at the World Swimming Championships. The winner will be announced in a week's time.
Good evening. Some temperatures up to 12 degrees above average today. Hobart 28, Launceston 26 and low 20s for Burnie and Devonport. 29 was the high at Strawn, Campania and Bushy Park. Ouse and Grove 28, Friendly Beaches and St Helens 26, Flinders Island 25, but just 15 on King Island. The reason being that low cloud moved right over King Island today, along with parts of the west. Plenty more coming. You can see that band of cloud to the west of Tasmania. A little bit of high cloud over the central parts. A bright cloud band lies just off the southwest of WA. The patchy cloud over the Bight contains thunderstorms. A small amount of afternoon convective cloud is over northern Queensland and the top end. Tomorrow a cold front moves over Bass Strait with another along the coast of Western Australia with a low near Perth. The high over the Tasman extends a ridge over southern Queensland. We will have west to southwesterly winds at 15 to 20 knots over the west, but stronger elsewhere, shifting south-southwesterly during the morning before easing slightly. We have a strong wind warning from Stanley to southeast Cape. Friday in Hobart, a shower or two and 16 as that cloud moves in. A shower for Huonville as well, 15 the top and 16 for Campania. Launceston, a high of 18 degrees, early fog clearing, 16 for Devonport and partly cloudy. Georgetown, similar forecast, but 18 degrees. 17 the top for Burnie and partly cloudy. Showers clearing from Strawn, 14 the top after a big day today and 17 for Wynyard. And for the east, St Helens, a shower or two developing, 18 the high, 17 for Swansea, a shower for Port Arthur, 14 degrees. Saturday, fine apart from a shower over the northwest in the afternoon. Showers over the north on Sunday, extending statewide during the morning before contracting to the west later. And on Monday, we retreat a couple of months with showers again, snow to 600 metres with cold southwesterly winds. Showers and a possible storm for Perth. Partly cloudy in Adelaide, 15 and a shower in Melbourne, sunny but windy in Sydney, pretty warm, 33 degrees, and a nice 28 in Brisbane. Clear conditions and still warm in Hobart, 22, Launceston as well, 17, clear in Devonport and 13 degrees. The countdown to daylight saving continues, Joe. I know over the years you've complained about your curtains fading. I've got this special anti-sun spray for you. It'll protect them all through the next 6 months.
That's a can of hairspray. Murph, you can put that down. Thank you. That's all from the news team for now. We'll see you a bit later. Bye-bye.